Welcome back. Live from Just King's World on my hip hop ish. We present to you Dope Read. Dope Read is a segment where we highlight books that should be educating your mind, raising your awareness, and making yourself a better person. Pick up a book. Right now, we are still reading 2 Chainz book. The Voice in My Head is God. We almost done. We are almost done. We are midway through. We're more than midway through. There's 20 chapters in here. We are on chapter 12. Give grace to yourself. Chapter 12 is called Misfortunes into Fortunes. In the 2024 Run DMC's documentary, Kings from Queens, both DMC and Reverend Run talked about the traumas that not only affected the group, but each group member individually. No matter how folks might try and warn you about the demons that come with success in the public eye, nobody can really prepare you for the actual experience. Shit, I know. Working with Wayne gave me a front row seat to all the ways the industries can break you. The demands from your label, fans, friends, family, and your own creative desires can have you feeling like you're on that free fall ride at Six Flags Over Georgia. I still don't know what me and my cousins loved about that ride. It'll take you all the way up, at least 100 feet in the air, and then drop you all the way to the bottom. I've always been conscious of how abruptly some things that seem permanently upright can change on you. I've seen plenty of artists enjoy the lavish ride to the top, and then out of nowhere, the industry drops them back to the neighborhoods they came from. Like I mentioned in the earlier chapter, I call this going down the ladder. But this drop is not like the ride at Six Flags. When the industry drops you, you don't get to the bottom and tell everybody how much fun you had. There's no happy adrenaline rush or high fives when you lose everything. Industry stress is a real thing, and Run DMC's experienced it all. In the documentary, DMC went on about the pressures, about stresses that came from being in such an iconic group. He talked about how it all led to his abuse of drugs and alcohol. He would have drinking binges between shows, and on most days he would just feel empty. All of this led to his not wanting to live anymore. What stood out the most to me was this one story he told about being in Yugoslavia with the group for an interview. The interview happened on the roof of the hotel they were staying at. After completing the interview, he noticed that the door leading to the roof hadn't been relocked. He saw that as an opportunity to end his life. DMC made sure Reverend Run and Jam Master Jay went back to their rooms and then bolted back up to the roof. He stood on the ledge. He was ready to jump. He was ready to end it all. But right before he was about to jump, he said he heard a voice. "You can't jump yet, D. You can't jump because they don't know who you are." That voice shook him out of his trance, and he got down from the ledge. He was seconds away from jumping before he heard the voice. Unfortunately, right after DMC almost suicide, Jam Master Jay would be murdered at a studio in Jamaica, Queens. Rest in peace. Not too long after Jam Master Jay passed away, DMC got his life in order. For me, watching the documentary and hearing DMC discuss his desperation standing on the ledge, I couldn't help but notice how he looked up to the sky when he mentioned hearing a voice. The chills still run through me when I think about it. He stood on the ledge and was prepared to jump until he heard a voice. I know that voice all too well. I also know why he looked up when he mentioned the voice. He probably didn't even notice that he looked up. It seemed like a reaction. It was a quick head raise that most people watching probably miss. Go back and watch the Kings from Queens, and when you get to that part, pay close attention. You'll see what I'm talking about. The voice he mentioned is what I've been talking about throughout these chapters. It's a spiritual voice, a divine one. He said the voice told him he couldn't jump because people didn't fully understand who he was yet. It also told him that the kind of ending he thought he wanted was not the one written for him. The voice that spoke to DMC while he stood on the ledge is the same voice inside us all. We just need to listen when it shows up. Quiet your mind and it'll come Quiet your mind and it'll come when you need it. Don't be afraid of it. Don't run from it. Lean into it, just like DMC. You'll feel his reverence when it comes to you. You feel assured. It's coming from a higher source. It's coming from a loving source. The voice in your head is God. If God is with me through everything, I can do anything. This belief started with letters, prison letters. Well, the foundation started before the letters, but I really began to understand how a higher power can cloak a person through my pop's letters. He used to write, God is love at the end of all his letters. I started receiving the letters when I was a teenager, during one of the times my pops had gotten locked up. Even though I was young, the statement touched something in me. God and love being mentioned in the same breath made sense. But back then, I couldn't take the words any further. That's how it is when you're young. Things may leave an impression on you, but a lot of times we don't have the tools to take it much deeper. I was too busy trapping and hooping to think too deeply about God and love. I've been a deep thinker my whole life, but with that statement, I didn't take the time to really consider what he meant. Over time, as I've grown in this life, I've been able to piece things together more and more. What my pop was trying to tell me in those God is love letters closings. God and love are the same. If love is involved in anything, then God is involved. I think about the nature and how rolling hills, sunsets, or oceans might pull our eyes right from our faces. Trees are the natural air conditioning of our planet. They have other obvious benefits too. We tend to think about the natural phenomenon as God's creation. If this is a fact, then according to Pops, love must be involved in the making of it. We often forget that we are God's creations too. This means love is a part of us. No matter how good or bad a situation might seem, love is always at our feet if we step into it. Our jobs are to remember. Once I started thinking like this and moving like this, I started to understand that my intuition or the voice I hear is from God. This means it comes from love. It must because it served me every time I listen. Every time. It's as natural as the rolling hills. This understanding has taught me that even though something may seem like a loss on the surface or on paper, I need to find optimism in it because I'm still here, which means God still wants me here, which means everything is all love. Bet that's what Pops was reminding me of when he signed them letters, God is love. He wanted to make sure I remembered to maintain my faith no matter what was happening on the outside. Trust my intuition. Trust my voice. All the things God equipped me with is all from God. And like DMC, when the voice comes, he ready to look up, listen, and take proper action. Thankfully, I've never been suicidal, but I know what the ledge of despair looks like. And I know what it is to have a voice guiding me on how to get down from the ledge. In 2017, I was getting ready to headline my own tour. The tour was ready to start on a Wednesday. I was wired to get on the road and do one of the things I love to do, rock the motherfucking stage. I love to get in front of people who have invested time, money, love, and support. I never take for granted what a person at my show might go through to make it there. Some folks might need to make work arrangements. Some folks might have to find a babysitter. Some folks might be spending money they don't have. All this to come rock with me is one of the best feelings, to be on stage and look into a crowd that knows all the lyrics to your songs. It's a synergy thing. There's a back and forth soul exchange between the audience and me. I send the crowd energy, they send it back to me. And we start our contract that way. A back and forth agreement. Just like the call and response of the blues, this all started with field songs sung by slaves. The singer sings a line that cues an audience and other singers to respond. The technique goes way back, and it's something I incorporate at my shows. If you ever seen me perform, you know how I get down. The stage is a canvas, and I'm the painter. I've never been a performer to just stand or sit in one spot during the show. No disrespect to any performer who chooses to do that, but that's not me. I like to color the whole stage. My show has to be electric and eclectic. Electric and eclectic. The audience has to feel the energy. In summer 2017, my album Pretty Girl Likes Trap Music had dropped. The album had a bunch of classics on it, records like 4 a.m., Realize, Big Amount, and It's a Vibe. That summer, I was preparing to tour for that album. Everything had been set up for an unforgettable ride. The Sunday before my tour was to start, I decided to throw a big party as a way to celebrate before I got on the road. It was also a celebration of my mom and daughter, who have birthdays on the same day, July 26th. Back then, we had a party at my house for the kids, and then my mom would have her own pool party at her house that night. The party was going well, and there were a bunch of kids over. I have over 100 acres at home. Ooh, go ahead, Chainz. And there was plenty of space for folks to be themselves. It was a perfect Atlanta summer day. The breeze was right, the drinks were cold, and the music was banging. We had plenty of food and a bunch of parents there with their kids. I really tried to make it something where everyone could enjoy themselves. A bunch of my good friends and family came through. We also had ATVs for the folks who wanted to ride. Me personally, I can chase adrenaline sometimes. People were riding ATVs or getting driven around on Can-Ams. There might have been a few Polarises. I know I said that word wrong, so please forgive me. You know, everybody who was just having fun. I remember my neighbor at the time had around 5 kids. They were cool. Some of them played tennis, some played volleyball, and some of them were ATV addicts like me. At some point, one of the neighbor's kids got on a four-wheeler and kind of started riding, doing his thing. Because I felt like I was seasoned on them things, I decided to show him a thing or two. The funny thing is, you could be as seasoned as you want, but with an ATV, you're always an accident away. My thinking was to go ride with him and kind of show all the kids a good time. I plan on doing some burnouts, some donuts, and really mess around. I remember getting on my ATV with some Adidas slides. The slides I wore had a Velcro strap, very comfortable sandals. I can't stand those slides today. Here's why. When I first got on the ride, I put the ATV in reverse. And when I did that, I cut that thing to the right. But when I cut it to the right, something happened with the strap on one of the slides and my foot came right out. It's hard to explain because everything happened so fast. But my bare foot started dragging on the ground almost like some kickstand shit, some kind of way. When I tried to steady the ATV, mind you, I'm still going in reverse. I fell off. The problem was that when I fell off, I put weight on that leg that hadn't had the slide on, and it buckled. Ooh. I felt my leg buckle and shift backwards in a way legs shouldn't. I laid there for a second knowing something wasn't right, but I'm a player. So I was given the impression that everything was cool. A couple of kids saw it and definitely didn't want them freaking out. I told the kids to go away and get my cousin Cat because he's big and shit. It didn't take long for Cat to run up and I told him, hey man, I might have fucked something up. Damn. I was laid up in the field and everybody was asking if I wanted them to call the ambulance. I didn't want all the circuits that came with the ambulance, so I just asked them to help me up. My people ended up driving a van through the field to get me. From there we went straight to the hospital. I got all kinds of MRIs and x-rays, elbow dislocated, knee broken. This put me to sleep to snap my elbow. They put me to sleep to snap my elbow back in place. I remember my mom being the only family in the room with me. I remember waking up from sedation and coming to. I remember the nurses asking, do you know who you are? Do you know where you are? I was really groggy, but definitely understood what they were asking. I said, yes, I know who I am. They said, who are you? And I said with a serious face, I'm Michael Jackson. Boy, my mama said, oh shit, I'm getting the fuck up out of here. I don't got time to be playing with this boy. I'm going to my party. Hi, my mama has always been good for a timely joke. I ended up staying for a couple of days. The funny thing is that I stayed because the hospital couldn't find a wheelchair big enough for me. I had to order a special kind of wheelchair. I can't say I didn't enjoy my stay though. I floated those days I spent in the hospital. I would take what I call these morphine dreams. The floating process was so easy and efficient. Whenever you're in pain, you just hit this little morphine button and boom, you knock out immediately. It didn't take long for my management to start asking about the tour. They wanted to know if we should just cancel it because I was in bad shape. I didn't want them to even announce what had happened or for anybody to know what was going on. Tickets had already been sold, and the first night was in Arizona in just a few days. I told them I needed some time to think. 2 days later, they needed a decision. Bro, we got to decide. We got a tour coming up in a couple of days. Something told me not to worry, that everything would work out. That same something told me this is an opportunity for you to be creative, to be an artist. I just didn't know what I was going to do. There's always a silver lining to everything. I don't view accidents as accidents. What's for me is for me. If you change one thing, then you change everything, right? It's like the butterfly effect that I mentioned. I knew laying in a hospital bed that the accident had to happen, but I also knew I had a tour to do. My knee was broken, but my spirit was together. I thought about it for a minute, and then it hit me. I told them, man, we got the album called Pretty Girls Like Trap Music, right? It's all pink. What if we had a pink wheelchair or something? What if we acted like I'm supposed to be in a wheelchair? Make it all intentional. Let's make it a production, almost like a play. I'll never forget how big their eyes got when I said that. It was like the most obvious thing that none of us had thought of until then. Nobody asked any questions. Management had heard me loud and clear and got to work. We found a guy that did custom wheelchairs. He made a pink one and flossed it out with rims. We found dancers and added that piece to the show. One of the dancers dressed up in a nurse outfit. She stayed close to me during the show like she was my personal nurse. She was a great dancer too. I mean, she was a professional trained dancer. That added an entirely new dimension to the show. We really ended up taking the stage show idea to another level. Everything was coming together. At no point did I consider canceling the show. I couldn't let my fans down. The tour had shows in New Orleans, Dallas, Oakland, Portland, St. Louis, Detroit, Philadelphia, Miami, and Las Vegas, to name a few. There was a total of 35 dates. I wasn't going to let my fans down. The first show in Arizona, no one had known about my accident. That night, I didn't know what to expect. I flew out there via private jet because I didn't want anybody to see me on crutches. Learning how to move from crutches to wheelchair and wheelchair to crutches was very humbling. It's the small day-to-day things in life that we take for granted. When the show started, I rode out on stage in my wheelchair and the crowd went fucking crazy. I wasn't sure if they was buying the wheelchair being a part of the show or not. It didn't matter. The energy was up. The love had felt so real that I made an announcement in the middle of the show. Yo, I broke my leg, but nothing could stop me from being here with you guys. They went crazy again. That energy turned me up. Something told me to come out and do this for y'all tonight. Something told me to fight through adversity. Something told me I could still have my way without being able to walk. You know, not being able to walk for a few months will humble you. You even watch the amount of water that you drink because you don't want to keep getting up to use the bathroom. I wasn't even drinking that much water because I got tired of all that. But it made me a better person, a stronger person, a more resilient person, and a more respected person. I was able to fight through adversity. And another thing was the guy who made the wheelchair for me died before the tour was over. Damn. Even today, I consider him one of my angels because who else would come into my life like that at a time like that when I really needed an angel, when I really needed him, then disappear from my life like that if he wasn't an angel. Coming from the south side of Atlanta, in the conditions I came from, I understand positive thinking may not immediately change our environment. I get that, and I'm sensitive to that. It doesn't mean you wake up and everything is peaches and cream, but it can be the difference like I experienced at a young age. I watched my parents go to prison and still told myself I'm getting straight A's in school and buying my mama a house when I get older. And I did that shit. I'm not telling anybody to praise any messenger if it ain't God, but it's all right to pay attention to the messages that speak to you. The message, God is love, and my positive thinking eventually led me being on that stage in Arizona, broken leg and all, pink wheelchair and all, to start the Pretty Girls Like Trap Music tour. My vision created a set with the same tore down pink trap house and appeared on the album cover. The word trap was sprayed across the second story window. We dressed it up with lanterns that had the whole motherfucking stage glowing. When I was spitting my verses, it almost felt like an out-of-body experience. I can honestly say that my whole life I've been an optimist. I became even more optimistic once I started understanding my pop's phrase, God is love. Had I fallen into a space of self-pity or self-doubt, the tour would have never happened. I had every excuse to cancel, and based off the reality of my condition, people would have understood. But when something happens to me, I try to look at the other door, sometimes the back door, to find some kind of optimism. I have experienced obstacles, setbacks, inconveniences, and disappointments like we all have. When these things occur, my initial impulse wants to say, why should it be happening to me all the time? But I catch myself quick, and that usually followed by a strong intuition of how I can make the situation work in my favor, how I can turn a misfortune into a fortune. All right. What y'all think about that chapter, man? I think he definitely took his situation and made the best of it. Like what they say, turn lemons into lemonade. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, I definitely love to think I live my life like that. Like if anything happens, I always find an alternative way to make things happen for myself. And that's why I'm still rocking right now, man. Listen, man, let us know what you think about that chapter in the comments. I appreciate you rocking with me. If you're still here, leave a fire. We are going into chapter 13, which is going to be called God is Love. Holla at y'all on the next one.